a business leader in the Eastleigh community. Ahmed, can you get me?
Yeah, I can hear you loud and clear.
All right, thank you very much for joining us this evening. Now, on to the first question. You are somebody that interacts with the people and the residents of Eastleigh on a first-hand basis. Could you kindly tell us how they've responded to this directive that was issued earlier on today with regards to the partial lockdown?
Well, I think we had it coming. Eastleigh, as you know, is a business hub.
Yes.
It's one of the biggest markets in Nairobi and in Eastern Central Africa. 100,000 people come to Eastleigh every day for shopping. Others come to earn a living. There was some mass test that happened about 4 to 5 days ago. But we could see this coming. We knew this was inevitable.
All right. Now, you've talked of Eastleigh being an economic hub that contributes majorly to the Nairobi economy. Now, there were goods and services that were expected to arrive in Eastleigh before this was issued out, but now that this was implemented, the partial lockdown as from 7 p.m., I believe some of them were expected to arrive tonight. What happens to these goods and services?
Some people have actually run out of stock. As you're aware, a lot of stuff comes from China, Singapore, Dubai. But because of the COVID-19 pandemic, a lot of these goods were not coming anyway. But there were some that were expecting their goods to come in the next few nights. But now they're in limbo. No one knows what's going to happen, whether they'll be classed as essential service or not. So people in Eastleigh are frustrated. People in Eastleigh are worried. This was, I think, in my opinion, done in a knee-jerk reaction. People are feeling that the government should have done it in other way and should have actually consulted major stakeholders. So this is something that has come not as a shock, but has caught people unawares.
Now, there's a very critical bit about this whole puzzle. You have residents who don't necessarily live in Eastleigh and live in other places of Nairobi, but work there. Then you also have residents from Eastleigh who work in other places within the CBD. Now, what is the situation? Could you kindly paint a picture as to what transpired after 7 p.m. with regards to that?
Well, we were already on curfew. There was no movement after 7 p.m. But what happens tomorrow is what's worrying people. 70% of people in Eastleigh are service providers, either service providers or shoppers. About 30% live actually in Eastleigh. So there are people who depend on Eastleigh economy to sustain their livelihood. There are maids, security guards, taxi drivers, nurses, doctors, who actually come to Eastleigh on a daily basis so that they can earn a living. Those people's situation is now not known. Obviously, they cannot come into Eastleigh if they don't actually live in Eastleigh. So it will be, it's a bit tricky, but we shall see what happens tomorrow. But there's a lot of people who are tonight unaware of what's going to happen to them, whether they can come in to Eastleigh or go out. But the Gazette notice is very clear. It's a cessation of movement directive. People cannot come in or out of Eastleigh. So it's a bit shocking, but we'll see what happens tomorrow.
You've heard of the saying that you cannot control what has happened in the past, but you can definitely determine what will happen in the future. Now, Eastleigh has been locked down partially, meaning business can go on as usual within the confines of Eastleigh. Moving forward, does this mean that the people are still going to operate normally, or you've decided that there are actually certain things that we need to do to treat this pandemic with the seriousness it deserves?
Well, look, the business community has actually taken the initiative about a week and a half ago of closing down malls because we knew Eastleigh was a very congested area. People shut down malls for about 3 to 4 days. They have made sure that all the malls followed the guidelines laid down by the Ministry of Health. There were sanitizers within malls. There were hand washing areas. There were social distancing supervisors. People were wearing masks. People are doing what they are supposed to be doing. And if I take you back, Eastleigh numbers has risen because there was a mass testing in Eastleigh. And if that same mass testing was done anywhere else in Nairobi, people will be getting the same results or even more. For example, the neighboring Gikomba is a huge market. It's a busy market. It's congested as Eastleigh. If the Ministry of Health took mass testing initiatives to Gikomba, I'm sure there'll be hundreds of positive cases. If they took it to the CBD, there'll be hundreds of positive cases. If they took it to Juakali or Mudhurwa market or Kulima market, they will get the same result. So people in Eastleigh are actually asking, they're questioning this directive. They don't know what's happening. They don't know why Eastleigh is actually undergoing this lockdown because they find this very unfair. But nevertheless, it could be a blessing in disguise. Eastleigh could be one of the safest places in Nairobi if we are there by these guidelines. But it's as we speak tonight, a lot of people are stressed, a lot of people are frustrated, a lot of people feel that this is a knee-jerk reaction by the government. A lot of people feel that it's an unfair action by the government. But we shall see. We welcome the directives of the government. There's nothing we can do about it, and we'll follow it to the letter. But I think the government should have used other means to make sure that this disease does not spread. Of course, this is an international pandemic. We are not deaf or dumb to the situation across the world and across Kenya. But as it is now, people find it as a punishment rather than prevention.
Ahmed, thank you very much. But unfortunately, that's all the time we had. And thank you for giving us the insight with regards to what is going down in Eastleigh on a first-hand basis.
My pleasure. Thank you.
Okay.